Hello everyone and welcome to a different kind of video. Pokemon is often one of the most, popular franchises ever to exist, right? This is pretty obvious. And some of the most popular Pokemon are the starter Pokemon. The Pokemon you start off with every game, your Bulbasaurs, your Charmanders, your Squirtles. But it makes you really ask, what if each region had a different selected 3? Now, this may sound dumb, no one could replace the originals, but what if they were forced to? Let's say, like, Professor Oak forced all the Bulbasaurs to be extinct or something. What would happen? What Pokemon would end up replacing them? And that's what I'm going to answer today. Alright, to set up some ground rules, each region will only have their specific generation. For example, Kanto, I can only include Gen 1 Pokemon. Johto, I can only include Gen 2. It has to be a Fire, Water, Grass trio. This is pretty obvious, considering most other regions only have Fire, Water, Grass. And if there's a unique scenario, like let's say Pikachu in Pokemon Yellow, or Let's Go Pikachu, or Eevee and Let's Go Eevee, I'll also be making alternate starters for those because it's easy, right? They also have to follow certain rules, like, hey, they have to be 3-stage, if possible. Some regions they can't, so we're gonna have to get to that. And a few other minor stuff that I'll be taking into account that I'll be talking about with each specific example. But with that being said, let's start off with Kanto. Starting off with the grass starter, and we only really have 2 options if we want to follow that 3-stage evolutionary line. We have Oddish's line, aka Oddish, Gloom, and Vileplume, and then we have Bellsprout's line, which is Bellsprout, Weepinbell, and Victreebel. Now, there is a problem with these two, and the fact is, in order to get from Gloom to Vileplume, or Weepinbell to Victreebel, you need to have a Leaf Stone, which means if we're going to look at other starters, they have to follow a similar category, or it's just a little weird, and it's just not that great. But we'll see if we can figure out that on the way. And we instantly run into a problem. You see, we can't do the 3-stage line, because there's no 3-stage fire evolution aside from Charmander. Now there is Magby. Magby does technically count, but he's also a Gen 2 Pokemon, which means it wouldn't work in the first generation. So we're actually going to have to scrap the 3-line rule and go back to 2. With that, we can actually go back to the grass types and see if we could change something. And with that being said, I found the best trio of starter Pokemon for Kanto that isn't the original 3, being Paris, Psyduck, and Ponyta. First things first, they all start with letter P, which is very convenient, but also, all 3 of them evolve through level up instead of using an evolutionary stone, which really works for the starter structure. Paris evolves at level 24, Psyduck evolves at level 33, and Ponyta evolves at level 40. Now, the interesting thing to note is Paris, being the weakest, evolves first. This is actually really good for balancing purposes between the 3 starters, allowing Paris to have a little bit of an advantage. And it still keeps the tight triangle compared to if we try to use Tentacool instead of Psyduck, because Tentacool is a poison type. And also there wasn't very many options. So this is by far the best thing of what we could work with, because not very many Pokemon evolve through level up that fit that same structure. Then it comes to Pikachu's replacement, which unfortunately, we're not going to use Eevee here. The simple matter is, Eevee's a normal type that evolves into an electric type, and we're just not going to use that. However, the problem is, now no Pokemon can follow that structure for the Thunderstone, so instead we would need to find a Pokemon that isn't electric type. But if we were going to be forced to choose an electric type there, it would be Eevee into Jolteon. And I think the choice is pretty obvious who I was going to choose. I'm going to choose Clefairy for this. Clefairy, originally a normal type in Generation 1, now turned Fairy, is a very cute Pokemon which works with Pikachu's aesthetic. Clefairy was also articulating its own game. Well, in quotes. We actually aren't, I don't know if we're actually sure about that. I didn't do research before this, but I do remember Pokemon Pink being in discussion. Clefairy was actually going to be the original mascot, even being in its own manga, along with Pikachu. So it makes sense that Clefairy would be the choice here to replace Pikachu in the non-evolving starter that'll end up traveling with you across the region. With that, we go to Generation 2, and we're already running into a problem with our good old fire types. There's only one unique line that gets introduced that isn't a legendary, or isn't a previous Pokemon that has a baby form, and that's Houndour, which is a 2-stage, which means we need to find a 2-stage trio for this generation. Also, Slugma also works, but who cares? But with that being said, I found the perfect trio of Sunkern, Houndour, and Wooper. I know Sunkern is evolutionary stone. I know. But the thing is, he's the only 2-stage evolution. Hoppip also works here if you really want to get that that evolution through level up, but there isn't very many options here. The only other options would be going back to a previous generation with Oddish, and that's just not worth it, because again, it's still evolution through stone, so that's like the only real solution to that problem. Houndour and Wooper are of course evolutions through level up. Houndour is 24, Wooper is 20. You get the point. They're pretty simple to explain. They can all kind of evolve around that same point in the game if you use the bug catching contest, so it ends up alright anyways. With that being said, we reached Gen 3, and Gen 3 has the same problem with fire types of there only being 2-stage, so we have to find a 2-stage for everything else. And with that being said, we found the perfect trio for Hoenn, that being Numel, Cacnea, and Barboach. Numel kind of did restrict us to only using 2-stage fire evolution, which means we only had to get the other ones with 2-stage, but it ended up being okay because that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. The one problem is that Barboach and Numel both are ground type, which isn't great. Barboach could be replaced with Milmer, but I wanted to choose a different one because of the level up. Numel evolves at level 33, and Cacnea level 32, and Barboach evolves at level 30. If we chose Wilmer, it would have been a level 40 evolution, and that's just not that fun. But Wilmer and Barboach could be interchangeable on this one. With that being said, we reached Gen 4, and I know people will be waiting for this because we're absolutely fun. Okay, so what's the problem with Gen 4? Well, if you take a look at the lineup here, you may notice that there's only one unique fire type that isn't a legendary, and that isn't an alternate form in all of Gen 4, and it's Magmortar, right? So, what do? Well, we come up with two solutions, right? We could go with the Rotom solution, which is Rotom, Heat, Wash, and Mow, all as a starter trio. Now, you may notice the problem with this. Gen 4 and Diamond and Pearl did not have any of these forms, and also, they are all Rotom. So, this solution only really works if it's in Platinum. Now, this could be a cool change if it actually did happen between Platinum and Diamond and Pearl, but it still doesn't fix the original problem. Because if we look back at Diamond and Pearl, there is no active 3-stage water evolution that's new either. You could go with Tangrowth in Magmortar, which is 2 and 3. Maybe choose a 1-stage for water or something. It'd be a very unique generation for that. But there isn't actually a single water stage evolution. Yeah, this situation's not looking good. There is almost no grass, whatever type. I would almost just say go with Heatran, Palkia, and Shaman or some bullcrap like that. Or Manaphy, Shaman, and Heatran. There's just nothing. There's nothing here. Nothing we can do. And at this point, I think I would just take the bullet and just choose Ponyta as one of the starters. Okay, the only other choice. And maybe with Buizel and maybe with someone else. Finion or something. No, I've got to choose a grass type. Snover. It just end up having to be that at this point because there's no other choice. There's like no other options in this entire stupid thing. There just isn't any, which really sucks because I wish there were, but there isn't because Gen 4 just had to be like that. Whatever. This is your fault, game devs. When it comes to Gen 5, also known as Unova, there actually can be a trio of 3-staged grass, water, and fire type. The only problem is the evolutions for some of these are completely off, but I don't care. I don't care. It's a group of Pokemon with 3 stages. You know what? We go for it, right? There's Serwaddle, Tympole, and Litwick. They all have 3 stages. The main outlier here is Litwick evolving at its final, its second evolution after Tympole is fully evolved. So, but who cares about that? It's Litwick. We can pass. You know, it's Litwick. With Gen 6 or Kalos, there isn't very many options here. I'm gonna be honest. There just isn't. There's 2 ways I can go about this. The easy way or the hard way. The easy way, just use the Kanto starters again. And use their Mega forms. You know, that's the easy way. But then there's the hard way. You see, the hard way is actually using the Pokemon that are available. However, there's only 2 individual lines that are Fire type that are not a part of the original, starter trio. Being Litleo and Fletchling. I would use Fletchling. The problem is he starts off without the fire typing, so we have to use Litleo, which means we have to go back to the 2-stage forms. But with that being said, we actually can get a pretty good line of Pokemon, being Litleo, Clauncher, and Skiddo. Skiddo evolves at level 32, Litleo evolves at level 35, and Clauncher evolves at level 37. They're all pretty close to each other. They are all pretty cool, in my opinion, and they can deserve the credit. And I know the evolution levels are high, but we have to choose a 2-stage because of Litleo being the only viable Pokemon for a starter that isn't Fennekin. Come on, guys, this is not that hard. With that, we make it to Gen 7. And we have the same problem with the fire types every time. They just ruin everything. There's no 3-stage evolution line that's fire type. Where do they go? Do they just not exist? What's happening? In fact, there's only 3 Pokemon lines that have the fire type. There's Oricorio, which by the way has 3 other forms, and none of them have any of the other types we need. It just happens to have one of them being fire. Blacephalon, which is a Ultra Beast, whatever you want to call it. And then we have Salandit. Do you know what the problem with Salandit? It only evolves as female! I guess you can make it so the starter is only female, but still, come on! With that being said, I decided to choose the Pokemon Cutiefly, Dewpider, and Salandit as our starters. I was very much between Dewpider and Wimpod, because it would have been interesting to have Wimpod as a starter, but at the same time I decided not to choose that because, well, it's Wimpod. I was also debating between Marini and Dewpider, but Marini's also poison and we don't need 2 of the same type. I know, I said this for earlier with Wailmer and Barboach and whatever, but who cares? This is a video that's just for fun. So with that, we have Cutiefly at level 25, Arachnid, aka Dewpider at level 22, and Salandit at level 33. There's not much we can do about Salandit. It's the only one that works. It's so horrible. I hate it. Add more Pokemon next time, Game Freak. Whoopsie, I think I made an error earlier. I think I said Cutiefly. Cutiefly doesn't work. He's a bug type. Replace it with Fomantis. Okay, it's fine. Also, I forgot to cover Let's Go, which is just go with Clefairy again. From the original choice, it turned into a fairy type, which is actually pretty cool as a starter choice. And you can pretty much choose any stone evolution. I personally just choose Growlithe because Growlithe is cool and he's a fan favorite. And who doesn't want Growlithe? Maybe you could choose Vulpix. Anything works. Okay, it's fine. With that, we reach Gen 8. With, the game. You know the game. Oh, there's no fire types again. Seriously, this is a problem with every generation. There's only like 1 generation that has a 3-stage fire type that actually works. And it doesn't even actually work. This is so rigged. And with that, I decided to choose the line of Sizzlipede, Aracuga, and Gossifleur. Sizzlipede at level 28 is when it evolves. Aracuga is level 26, and Gossifleur is level 20. They're all pretty close. They're all not bad options. They're also like the only real options you could choose from for this generation. So I kind of don't have a choice, so womp womp. With that being said, we reached Gen 9, Paldea. This is the games I played the least. But I bet you can't guess what problem we have. It's the fire types! But with what we have, I decided to choose the following three: Charcadet, Wiglet, and Toedscruel. Now, you may have noticed there's a problem with Charcadet, and that's how it evolves, but we threw that away with Litwick a long time ago. There's like no options for fire again. There just isn't. They're all legendary, or they're like split evolutions, like one of they start grass and they turn grass fire, or something similar. I know terrestrialization could solve this problem, but it's done. It's done, okay? Toedscruel and has level 30, Wiglet level 26. They're close enough. Okay, like it's close enough, man. It's just let it happen. Just let it happen, please. Please. Okay. But with that being said, that's what I think would replace every starter in every region if they were forcibly replaced. Professor Oak, please don't throw out the Bulbasaur. We need to keep him here because he's the thing running the entire world. So please keep him. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Maybe I'll do more of these. I don't know. Perhaps. Anyways, goodbye.